The paradox of love, between longing and fear. Hello, thank you for taking your valuable time to listen to this audiobook. Today we are going to explore deeply one of the most complex and fascinating aspects of human experience: love. In particular, we will talk about this interesting contradiction of how we desperately want love while simultaneously fearing it. Chapter 1: The Nature and Paradox of Love. Throughout human history, there has been no emotion that has been the subject of as much poetry, song, literature, and art as love. From Socrates to Shakespeare to Freud, great thinkers have tried to understand the nature of love. Yet love still remains our greatest mystery. Interestingly, humans instinctively seek love while simultaneously fearing it. Psychoanalyst Erich Fromm expressed in his book, The Art of Loving, that love is humanity's most fundamental need, and at the same time, its most fearsome challenge. This paradoxical phenomenon is not simply emotional confusion, but reflects a deep aspect of human nature. You've probably experienced it yourself. Moments when you're attracted to someone but hesitate to approach them. The urge for intimate relationships, yet the impulse to maintain distance. These contradictory emotions are deeply rooted in our psychological structure and social experiences. Isn't it quite ironic that what we want most is simultaneously what we fear most? It's like the contradiction of being afraid to drink water while dying of thirst. But this contradiction is also evidence of the richness of human experience. Chapter 2: Love is Exposure, the Risk of Vulnerability. One of the essential aspects of love is exposure. To love means to reveal your inner self, weaknesses, deficiencies, and most honest emotions. It's like voluntarily choosing to enter a battlefield without armor, a state of vulnerability. Psychologist Brené Brown said, "True connection is impossible without vulnerability. Yet this vulnerability is the fundamental reason many people fear love. Showing your most authentic self implies the possibility of being rejected, misunderstood, or even exploited." Think about it. When falling in love, we grant the other person unlimited authority. They come to know our deepest secrets, darkest fears, and greatest hopes. This is an act of tremendous trust and simultaneously an act of taking enormous risk. In modern society, the risk of this vulnerability is amplified. In an era dominated by social media and dating apps, we are conditioned to pursue a perfect image. Revealing flaws or weaknesses feels like a failure of our digital self. In this environment, revealing one's true self has become even more difficult. The interesting point here is that the moments we often find most attractive are when others show vulnerability. We feel a deeper connection, not when someone pretends to be perfect, but when they reveal sincere emotions. Yet we are afraid to show our own vulnerability. How ironic is that? Chapter 3: Past Wounds. Block the present, the legacy of trauma. The second important factor is past wounds. We all live with wounds both large and small. Experiences like the failure of first love, betrayal of trust, the pain of separation leave deep traces on our mental landscape. According to neuroscience research, emotional trauma actually changes the structure of the brain. Brain regions responsible for fear responses, such as the amygdala, are particularly sensitive to past wounds. If you've experienced betrayal once, the brain is programmed to automatically be on guard in similar situations. This is the phenomenon many people describe as building walls. These walls are not simply metaphors, but actual psychological defense mechanisms. We unconsciously build these defensive walls to prevent wounds similar to those from the past. These defense mechanisms may protect us in the short term, but in the long term, they interfere with true intimacy. The poet Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." but too many wounds can result in keeping us in darkness. Cynically speaking, in the game of love, we often try to play new games with the rules of previous games. Just because a former lover was a liar doesn't mean everyone is a liar. But our fears often create such illogical generalizations. You've probably heard the phrase, all men, women are the same. But can 7.5 billion people really all be the same? That's statistically nonsensical. Chapter 4. Real love demands change and responsibility. Fear of growth. The third element is the fear of change and responsibility that love demands. Love is not simply an emotional state, but a process requiring continuous choice and commitment. True love requires us to abandon self-centered habits, consider others' needs, and develop the ability to resolve conflicts constructively. This is a journey of personal growth, but also an uncomfortable and challenging process. Philosopher Kierkegaard said, "Love is the transformation of the self." Love demands that we become better people, more patient, more generous, more understanding. But these changes can be painful and force us out of our comfort zones. Love also entails responsibility. Responsibility for another person's happiness and well-being. Responsibility to keep promises, be honest, and be trustworthy. This sense of responsibility can feel heavy, especially in today's individualistic culture. One of the ironies of our time is that unlimited choices and freedom actually make commitment more difficult. In a world where you can meet new potential partners with just a swipe on dating apps, the illusion that someone better is always waiting interferes with commitment. Economists call this the opportunity cost trap. Choosing one thing means giving up all other possibilities.
Somewhat cynically, many people tend to treat relationships like Netflix subscriptions. If there's any dissatisfaction, they immediately want to cancel subscription and switch to another service. But true love is not like a Netflix subscription, but more like farming. It's a long-term investment requiring patience, constant care, and sometimes weathering harsh conditions.
Chapter 5. Evolutionary perspective. The tension between survival and love. Another way to understand the relationship between love and fear is to approach it from an evolutionary perspective. Evolutionary psychologists suggest that our complex emotions related to love are rooted in humanity's survival and reproduction strategies. Of course, this is just one academic perspective, not the only truth explaining the entirety of human experience. We can understand the nature of love from various academic, philosophical, and religious perspectives. From an evolutionary perspective, belonging to a group was essential for survival for our early ancestors. Social bonds and cooperation were important for protection from predators, obtaining food, sharing resources, etc. Thus, the desire for love and attachment may be deeply engraved in our genes. At the same time, trusting the wrong person could be fatal. Betrayal or rejection was more than just an emotional wound. It was a real survival threat. In this context, fear of love can be seen as a kind of evolutionary safety mechanism. These mechanisms still function in modern society. Even if physical survival is no longer the main concern, fear of social rejection and isolation has a powerful effect on us. According to neuroscience research, social rejection actually activates the same brain regions as physical pain. However, this perspective doesn't explain everything. Human love goes beyond simple survival mechanisms to include spiritual, philosophical, and cultural dimensions. Love sometimes leads to self-sacrificial behaviors that go against survival instincts. Chapter 6. Cultural context, the meaning of love, according to era. The relationship between love and fear varies greatly depending on era and culture. Historically, our understanding and expectations of love have changed dramatically. Ancient Greeks classified love into several types: eros, physical love; philia, love of friendship; agape, unconditional love; storge, family love, etc. In medieval times, chivalrous love was idealized, and in the Romantic era, passionate love was emphasized. In modern society, expectations for love are higher than ever before. We expect partners to fulfill various roles: passionate lover, trusted friend, intellectual companion, co-parent, economic partner, etc. These high expectations inevitably increase the possibility of disappointment and frustration. Furthermore, modern individualistic culture emphasizes self-realization, which often creates tension with commitment in relationships. Many people struggle between the two commands: I need to find myself, and I need to commit to our relationship. The surge in social media and digital communication further complicates this tension. On one hand, it expands opportunities for connection, but on the other hand, it promotes superficial relationships and a culture of comparison. To put it somewhat sarcastically, we try to apply filters to love, just like Instagram filters. We want everything to look perfect and beautiful. We want to edit out uncomfortable aspects of relationships like discomfort, conflict, boredom, but real love is found in the unfiltered version. Chapter 7: Psychological Insights Through the Lens of Attachment Theory. Modern psychology, especially attachment theory developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, provides a powerful explanatory framework for the relationship between love and fear. According to attachment theory, our early relationships with caregivers, primarily parents, have a profound influence on relationship patterns throughout life. This theory distinguishes 4 main attachment styles. First, secure attachment. This maintains a healthy balance between intimacy and independence. It feels secure in relationships and does not fear emotional intimacy. Second, anxious ambivalent attachment. This experiences excessive worry and fear of abandonment in relationships. However, it often tries too hard to confirm the other's love. Third, avoidant attachment. This feels uncomfortable with intimacy and dependency, trying to maintain emotional distance. It highly values autonomy and independence. And fourth, disorganized attachment. This shows inconsistent patterns in relationships, displaying contradictory behaviors of both wanting and fearing intimacy. Thus, these attachment styles deeply influence how we approach love. Someone with anxious ambivalent attachment may intensely pursue love while constantly feeling anxious. In contrast, someone with avoidant attachment tendencies may fear deep connections and unconsciously maintain distance. Interestingly, our attachment styles are not fixed, but can change over time. We can develop more stable attachment patterns through self-awareness, therapy, and healthy relationship experiences. An interesting fact is that people are often attracted to partners who complement their attachment style. Avoidant people tend to be attracted to anxious, ambivalent people, and vice versa. This may create exciting dynamics initially, but ultimately stimulates the deepest fears of both people. Doesn't it seem like the universe is playing a trick on us? Chapter 8: Spiritual Dimension. Love from the Perspective of Faith. Love is a central theme in many religions and spiritual traditions. Especially in the Christian tradition, love is considered the essence of God. 1 John 4:16 states, God is love. In the Bible, love is described not as a simple emotion, but as an intentional action and expression of commitment. 1 Corinthians 13 describes the characteristics of love as patient, kind, not envious, not boastful, not proud. This emphasizes the self-transcendent nature of love. From a spiritual perspective, fear of love
often stems from recognition of our finitude and imperfection. We know we can be hurt, can fail, and relationships can break despite our efforts. However, many spiritual traditions teach that it is precisely in this imperfection and vulnerability where the transformative power of love operates. The Judeo-Christian tradition states, "Perfect love casts out fear," as in 1 John 4:18. This suggests the hope that true love is stronger than our fears. The Bible also teaches that human love is a reflection of divine love. Ephesians 5 presents the relationship between Christ and the Church as a model for marriage. This suggests that human love has a spiritual dimension beyond mere biological or psychological phenomena. The journey toward fearless love often parallels the journey of spiritual growth. Buddhism teaches that freedom from attachment or craving and aversion or fear is an important aspect of enlightenment. Christianity views being able to love others more fully through relationship with God. The Bible especially teaches that God's love is essential in overcoming our fears. Romans 8:38-39 declares, "For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor any created thing, shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord." Rooted in this unconditional love, we can have greater courage and openness in human relationships as well. Chapter 9. Beyond Fear, Cultivating the Courage of Love. So far, we have examined the complex relationship between love and fear. Now let's ask a practical question. How can we overcome this fear and move toward a more fulfilling experience of love? First, develop self-awareness. All change begins with self-awareness. It's important to understand your specific fears, defense mechanisms, and relationship patterns. Journaling, meditation, and psychological counseling can be tools to enhance this self-understanding. The Bible expresses this wisdom in Proverbs 4:23 as, "Guard your heart." Understanding and caring for our inner selves is a crucial starting point in the journey of love. Second, practice vulnerability. Vulnerability is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. You can start in small ways and gradually move toward deeper self-disclosure. Begin by expressing honest emotions to trusted friends or family. Jesus showed his disciples his fear and sadness in Matthew 26:38. This shows that vulnerability is not weakness, but the foundation of true connection. Third, heal past wounds. Unresolved trauma can continue to interfere with present relationships. It's necessary to recognize previous wounds and properly mourn them. Sometimes seeking professional help is important in this process. The Bible promises in 2 Corinthians 5:17, "The new has come, the old has passed away." It's a message of hope that we don't need to be bound by the past. Fourth, gradual exposure. Psychologists say one of the most effective ways to overcome fear is gradual exposure. In relationships, this means experiencing deeper intimacy bit by bit. The phrase "do not fear" appears 365 times in the Bible, they say. That's perhaps one verse for each day of the year. God helps us overcome fear step by step. Fifth, staying in the present. Anxiety often stems from worry about the future. Mindfulness and habits of focusing on the present moment help reduce this future-oriented fear. Jesus taught in Matthew 6:34, "Do not worry about tomorrow." Being faithful to the present moment is a spiritual practice that reduces unnecessary fear. Sixth, growing in community love is learned and practiced in community. Being part of a community that models healthy relationships is important for strengthening our own relationship capabilities. Hebrews 10:24-25 exhorts, "Let us consider how to spur one another on toward love and good deeds.
not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another. We learn the courage of love through each other. Chapter 10. Conclusion. Accepting the paradox of love. One of the most important realizations in the journey of love is that we don't need to wait for perfect certainty or complete absence of fear. Love is often an act of courage despite fear, acting with that fear. Poet Kahlil Gibran said, "In love, half is awake and half is asleep." Accepting the paradox of love is the way to a richer and more authentic experience of love. It also means simultaneously including longing and fear, joy and risk, growth and vulnerability. The Bible expresses this in 1 John 4:19 as we love because he first loved us. Ultimately, the courage to love comes from the assurance that we are already loved. This is why they say the answer to all questions is in the Bible. Because even humanity's deepest emotional and psychological struggles eventually lead to spiritual questions. Love, called ahava in Hebrew, is not an emotion, but an action and choice. It's the decision to move toward another person despite fear. And this choice of love doesn't come after fear disappears, but rather is the power that transforms fear. Aristotle said, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but advancing despite fear." Similarly, the courage of love is not a state without fear, but choosing to love despite fear.
The Bible teaches this in 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. As we grow in love, fear gradually loses its power. But this is a process, not an immediate change.
Ultimately, this paradoxical dance between love and fear shows the richness of human experience. The fact that we fear what we long for reflects our deep sensitivity and complexity. By understanding and accepting this paradox, we can move toward a more fulfilling and authentic journey of love. Closing remarks. Thank you sincerely for listening to the end. As we explored this complex topic of the paradox of love together, I hope you have gained new insights about your own love and fear as well. We all experience our own challenges and joys in the journey of love. Remember that the true challenge and reward is not finding perfect relationships or fearless love, but cultivating the courage to love despite fear. If you want to explore more spiritual and psychological topics, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will continue to explore the depth and meaning of human experience with new audiobooks each week. Don't miss new content through the subscribe button and notification settings. I pray that God's wisdom and peace accompany you on your journey of love and fear. Thank you.